Hey guys, I'm Michael Perry, gardening expert at QVC. Now you've probably seen lots of videos and posts on the internet about lasagna planting for bulbs. Now, what is that? Well, it turns out you don't need an oven and you don't cook the bulbs, but you actually plant in stacks. So you actually layer the bulbs with compost in order to fit more in a smaller space. It works particularly well in patio pots. And that means that you can actually have a longer display, you can fit in more bulbs, and you can create the most amazing displays. So today, I'm going to show you how to do the bulb stacks. So first of all, choose your container. Now I've chosen this one, which is nice and deep, so I can actually get probably about 4 layers of bulb stacks in there. So that is super nice. But also think about drainage first of all. So this pot has actually got 2 holes where you make drainage holes, and I've already punched those through to make sure that the excess water drains away, because the last thing your bulbs need is to be waterlogged. So drainage is always very important. Okay, let's talk about compost. So you're gonna need to get yourself a good multi-purpose peat-free compost. If you can mix in a little bit of grit, your bulbs will be even happier, because the key to this is not allowing the pot to become waterlogged at any time. So we're going to start layering up that compost, but first of all, we need to do a little bit of mathematics. Okay, so as a general rule, when it comes to planting spring bulbs, such as daffodils, tulips, crocus, you need to plant them at 3 times their own depth. So 1, 2, 3. So that's how deep that bulb is going to be planted, about 3 inches deep. So that means in our container, our deepest bulb is our biggest one, which is the daffodil, which is going to be 3 inches deep. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to fill our compost up to that level first of all. So we're going to fill in with that lovely fresh compost to the level that we've indicated on the pot. Ready to plant our first layer of the bulb stack, which is those lovely big chunky daffodils. Now when you select your bulbs, make sure they aren't soft or squidgy, and as much as possible, plant them the right way up too. You'll often see the roots at the base and the shoot peeking out of the tops. We are going to plant those about 1 inch apart. Now that might seem a little bit close compared to what you do in the open ground or borders, but when you've got bulbs in containers, I put them nice and close, because then you get this really intense display and you don't need to stake them, because everything holds each other up as well. Okay, the next layer in our bulb stack is compost. So we are then going to put in a layer of compost about 1 inch deep, because the next bulb we're going to plant is a tulip. Now let's do some mathematics with our tulips. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. They're going to be that deep. So let's do that on the side of the pot. 1, 2, 3. That's where our compost layer needs to be. Okay, we're going to plant up our tulips. Always take advice with tulips on getting top-sized bulbs if possible, because the larger the bulb, the better performance in that first year. So we're going to plant those in a layer just above the daffodils. Now, it doesn't matter too much if you actually plant your tulip accidentally on top of your daffodil. The stems will actually find their way around up to the top, so don't stress too much about that, but avoid it if you can. So again, our tulips relatively close, say about 1/2 inch to 1 inch apart, and we've got those in a round formation. So that is our second layer of the bulb stack. Now we're ready for the third layer. Okay, so a bit more compost, and then we're going to do some calculations for planting our crocus and chinodoxa. So they're both quite small bulbs, so they won't need to be very deeply planted. So again, 1, 2, 3. That's how deep we're going with the crocus. So basically kind of 1, 2, 3, about here. So just going to fill in a bit more compost and then bring in our dwarf bulbs. Now with these, it doesn't matter too much if you get these the right way up or not, because they're very small bulbs and the shoot will generally find its way up. A nice way to have a very natural look in your container is to broadcast the bulbs quite naturally. So you can almost go, just throw them in, which is quite easy. So you can see how that effect is giving you a very, very naturalistic look as well. I'm going to just intervene and put those crocus the right way up, but I'm not going to worry too much about the chinodoxa because they're very small bulbs. So just going to broadcast those liberally across the top. So that is our third layer of the bulb stacks. But now we're going to put in a bit more compost and then actually plant a final layer, which will be a living plant on the top. So we're filling our container with that compost almost to the brim. We never go to the brim because we still need to leave a bit of space for watering. But the best news with making a bulb stack is that you won't need to water this until next spring when the bulbs start to come through the soil. You're planting this now in the autumn when the bulbs are dormant. They're gonna come through the soil in the spring, and when they come up to bud, you need to water them well, feed them too, in order to get the very best display. But remember, we've got layers of daffodils, tulips, crocus, and chinodoxa, all set to give us that successional display. They'll be in flower at the same time or one after the other. It will be about 2 months of spring bulb beauty. But there's one final layer. It's not a bulb layer, it's actually a plant layer. And I'm gonna pop in 2 lovely foliage heucheras on the top. So look at this. So you can actually complete your display so it looks good during the autumn, during the winter, and then in the spring, these 2 heucheras will be accompanied by those beautiful daffodils, tulips, chinodoxa, and crocus. And don't worry too much about being on top of the bulbs, because those bulbs will find their way through. So there's a simple guide to the mathematics behind bulb stacks. So you plant them in the autumn and you have a beautiful display in the spring. Why not go to My Garden Escape on QVCUK.com to find the full range of spring bulbs?